How's it, everybody? Welcome to the first of the Let's Go Solar sessions. Just want to say welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking time and getting here. I know everybody's time is super value. Let me just make this thing a bit go silent. I think everybody's time is super valuable. So thank you for joining me for the session. It's going to be a brutal session. We're going to go straight to the heart of a couple of things. We're going to cut through all the bullshit, and that is SHEET, that is out there about solar. So we're not going to make it long. It's not going to be stretched out. Please, this is not a sales pitch for new home, but I think it's important that we share very key aspects of going off grid, or as the team at New Home likes to call it, going energy independent. I think one of the key aspects, and I'm just going to dive straight into this. I think we're going to probably touch on 4 key aspects today, and I got a bit of a book here so I can stick to the program, because I know I can speak quite a lot, especially about this. So anyway, long story short, we're going to talk about costs, very importantly. Secondly, we're going to talk about quality of products. We're going to talk about the actual lithium versus lead acid. A question comes up so many times. And then I think lastly is, how do I know which solar system would work for me? So I think everybody's always kind of like the one key question everybody always asks is, how much is it going to cost me? I want to go off grid, Sean. How much is it going to cost me? So obviously not talking from a new home context, because that's completely different. But if you actually want a quality solar system that is going to be functional and it's going to do what it's required to do over a long period of time, it's not a 50,000 Rand exercise. I see all too often out there, especially on Facebook and on all kinds of social media handles, we look at that kind of costing and people are advertising, go off grid, 20,000 Rand, 80,000 Rand, 50,000 Rand. It's like, let me tell you, out of the horse's mouth, it does not work. There might be inferior products that can do something quite similar, but the only price point that you can get to the point where you're going to go off grid at that cost is if you have something that's called lead acid batteries. Imagine what is in your engine of your car. Now, we're not going to talk about lead acid batteries just yet. We're going to talk about the costs. So, obviously, and I'm going to use my frame of reference at this point in time. So I'm going to say a New Home 10 system, which is one of the small systems, but a New Home 10 is aimed at clients that has a energy usage of about 10 kilowatt hours a day. Now, if we just look at 10 kilowatt hours a day and how much something like that would cost, which is 10 kilowatt hours a day would be an equivalent of a solar system that is probably going to cost you somewhere in the region of about between 115 to, I would say, that's a very low end, very kind of like basic product, and it could range all the way up to about 100, 144, 150, 60,000 Rand. Somewhere in that range is what you're going to get a New Home 20. Now, and I'm just going to kind of like talk about like the New Home 10 solar system is literally just kind of like, it's going to get you through a day, an evening if you're in a big household. It's not an enormous system, but on average, I have found it. I mean, I have had my own solar journey, and when it comes to costs, people always kind of go, "Oh, yeah, Sean, can I go off grid for 30,000 Rand or 50,000 Rand?" I was like, the long and short answer is no. If any salesman walks through your door and tells you, "Hey, I'm going to take you off the grid," and I know I've had those guys in my house. When I started my renewable energy journey about 10 years ago? No, I'm lying. That's not that long. About 8 years ago, I had a chap walking into my house and telling me, "Hey, Sean, don't worry. I'm going to get you off grid, and it's going to cost you 55,000 Rand. Now, we all know how much the cost has come down of renewable energy products. Solar panels has come down enormously over this time. I'm not going to throw out percentages because people might hold it against me. Just there's been a great, massive reduction in the cost of renewables. So imagine 8 years ago, that kind of pricing dive, and this guy come into my house and has the audacity to tell me, "Oh, Sean, don't worry, I'll get you off the grid." What? Like 50,000 Rand, 55 around there. And literally what he sold me was absolute rubbish, quite frankly put. Now, I'm not going to, mention product names and anything like that, and this is not what this session is about. But it is to share the idea that when it comes to cost, the first indicator, if you are in a 3-bedroom house and someone turns around to you and say, "Hey, I'm going to take you off grid for 60,000 Rand," it's bullshit. That I guarantee you, okay? If you want to prove me wrong, please email me hello@newhome.app and I will personally respond to that email, okay? But you do not take your home off grid for that price. It does not exist. It doesn't help you, and it's not going to work. It might help for 2 months, maybe 3 months. Maybe if you're really lucky, 6 months. But that's it. That's the end of the line. That system is not going to work. So please realize that cost is a key indicator if you're buying something that is worth it in the long run. I mean, some of the guys, they do dislike it immensely, kind of like when I do the comparison. But there's a certain reliable vehicle that has got a boxer dog on the back sometimes, and almost like so many South Africans drive the brand, and it's known for its reliability. Now, for that, you pay a bit of a premium, but you know what you get because you buy into that. If you're going to buy cheap and cheerful, don't expect something to last long. Cost matters. So if it's cheap, it's very likely, as I said earlier, it's bullshit. Okay, so, and really just remember, it's bull with a sheet, like a sheet of paper. Before people think I'm swearing, I promise you I'm not swearing. I'm doing some wordplay here. But the reality is, if it's cheap, it's not going to work, quite frankly. If you're looking for something a little bit more long-term, something that's going to help your home, don't go cheap. Rather save the money. Go speak to a professional. There's lots of professionals out there that have got lots of engineers that can give you very good guidance. And if you want some guidance, email us and we'll help you go through the process to understand what is good and what's bad, so we can cut through this, okay? So we've now, I think, firmly established that one of the things that's absolutely critical is cost. If it's too cheap, it's not going to work, okay? The other thing that we need to talk about is the quality of products. So quality matters. I mean, like we've said it over and over again, when it comes to either costs or if it comes to, it's the quality of the product is going to determine the life and the maintenance component of it. So it matters. Let me just take a sip. And thank you for joining everybody out there. So from that perspective, I think, one of the things that's always key is understanding that if I buy a quality product, it is going to last. So if you buy something that nobody's know about, or as in some cases, which our market here in South Africa very specifically is absolutely flooded in, and it is still, on the first point, it's cheap, it is probably not going to last you. So look for a quality product. Speak to the professionals out in the market that it makes a business. I can guarantee you a fair amount of solar work out there requires an engineer to think about certain aspects. So if there's no engineer in that company, that's a big red flag. Start thinking about those kind of things. Having an engineer in a business is essential. Most solar systems, and specifically if we look at those down in Cape Town, if you're in the Cape Town region, you need sign off by a professionally registered engineer. And it should be one of the questions that you ask. Do you have an engineer that's going to sign this off? Because quality work matters, and it's not only legislated in this case, but it's definitely something that's hugely important. So please make sure that you get a registered engineer as part of their team, so you can know that with confidence the offering that is being provided is actually rock solid. Okay, so quality matters. I'm going to speak from my perspective. and from a new home perspective. I'm not disregarding any other products out there, but there's a very good reason that the team from New Home has selected the products that we use. We've chosen 3 or 4 different brands that we truly believe in, that is, number one, absolute high quality products that'll outlast almost anything else out there, and that has been a key differentiator in the decision that we've made. So if I can help merely by kind of like sharing why we made a certain decision from a quality perspective, I'll be over the moon. Over the moon to actually just help with that. So from a inverter perspective, we work with 2 manufacturers. We work with SMA and we work with Victron. Those are the 2 products that we work with. And for very good reasons. They are good, they are robust, and they last. They've been around the block for years and years and years, and they're going to be around for years and years and years. So please, those 2. If you want to go out and go purchase yourself one, it's obviously not with that in the new home model. But if you're going out there and want to purchase something out of your own pocket, please make sure that it's a good quality product. Choose one of those 2 brands. They're really good. And by the way, they're not paying me a single cent for that brand advertising. So please know that. The second thing I want to get into is obviously the key component. Now, everybody should know this. When it comes to quality, we can talk, and we're going to delve into the 2 other the battery solutions in a bit. But when it comes to the quality component, number one, the batteries matter. It matters. So we stuck with 2 brands very specifically. We use Freedom One and we use iGen. Okay, those are the 2 products that we utilize. Now, there's very good reasons why we use it. Number one, they both proudly South African products, so please go out there, support them. They're really good. But those are the 2 products that we kind of like really push at the moment. Once again, they're not paying us to say this. It is just they are good quality products. If it works, and I will tell it to people. Okay, and there's very good reason. So tried, tested. They're right here in the greater Johannesburg area. They are both teams are very much hands-on, and we support both of them equally. So that's very important. So we choose lithium batteries for a very good reason rather than lead acid. Lead acid is, I'm not going to delve into the environmental aspects at this point, but I can say that lead acid is a no-go. Life expectancy, not great. And everything else that goes with it. It weighs a ton, it's super heavy, etc. It doesn't have the longevity. Depth of discharge is a whole kind of like different kettle of fish we can spend weeks on talking about. And we're not saying it's not an option. There is some clients that would want to go that route, just not New Home. And just not some of the other businesses that we're associated with. They would choose not to go with a lead acid solution when it comes to the bigger off-grid kind of style solution. So does not work, okay? And that just know it. Keep it in your mind. And lastly, one of the other quality products that we kind of like work on quite aggressively, and we've got a very good working relationship, is a team from Canadian Solar. Once again, we buy products like everybody else out in the market. There's like, they don't pay us to say these things, but we believe in the products. We believe in what they do, so choose quality. So if there's anything anybody can go, please choose those products. They're good, and God forbid, I'm going to use the words bulletproof. They are really good products. So once again, yes, they're a little bit more expensive than other products out there, but you get the warranties, you get the guarantees, and most importantly, you get the after-sales service that you require when you're making the investment that you're making in these things. So it is important. I want to then, let's talk quickly about lithium versus lead acid batteries, which is the second last aspect that I want to talk about. If we look at those two, it's not even a comparison. It's not even a consideration. Lithium is better than lead acid on every aspect. Okay? I've heard too many horror stories of clients going out, getting these installs from let's call them, I like to call them mushrooms, and it's a term that we picked up through the day. But effectively, these mushrooms pop out overnight. They sell clients absolute rubbish, and the next day go, gone. It's not acceptable. They are not held accountable at all. So it's just shocking, quite frankly. And a lot of them go to clients and push lead acid. They under-design a system, and the system fails. And when the client sits by himself in the dark once again, it's a problem. Now, doesn't work. So avoid lead acid. If you don't know how to design a system, it's just don't design it, please. Just don't sell rubbish to clients. People out there have done enough damage to this industry for us to continue further ripping it apart. Please just stop. Rather come and get an engineer and do it right. But clients out there, please choose lithium rather than lead acid. If it is a problem, start small. You can scale it up over time. Lithium is a modular kind of technology, and we can make it bigger as we go along. And things are progressing quite nicely in the industry. So just please stay away from the lead acid stuff. It's just, you're not going to be happy. You're going to spend 30,000 Rand or 40,000 Rand on the batteries and a bank of batteries, and you're going to literally rip it apart every other day, and it's not going to work. It's going to fail. So walk away from it. It doesn't work, please. Okay. Lastly, is the question that we get most often is, Sean, how do I know how big my system needs to be? Now, from that perspective, I think it's one of those things that it's fairly easy. I mean, like, every household is different. Everybody's got a different size system. Everybody uses their energy system. It becomes a behavior game. And I always say, we can't measure what we don't understand. So please go out there and understand your energy first. And if you don't know how to understand it, number one, there's something. I mean, we work with one of the products we work quite well with. The guys from SMAPI. How's it, Nigel, if you're down in Cape Town? But the guys from SMAPI has got a wonderful product that we make use of. You measure your energy, and you get an understanding of what time, when, how you use it. And it's that simple. That information then can be utilized to give you great guidelines on how to size your solar system. But simply put, if you don't have that now, you can reach out, and this is a punt. Reach out to the New Home team. We are offering the product to the public at this point in time. So reach out to us, hello@newhome.app, and ask us for a SMAPI device. That way, number one, they've got a wonderful app, by the way, too. So if you look at that, number one, it gives you insight on how much energy you use, what time you use it, etc. It's super easy to use, and it's a really nice product. I really enjoy it. I use it in my house, and I think a couple of the other partners use it in their house too. So a really powerful product, and it greatly helps in understanding how big you should go with your solar system. But if you don't have that, and you only have your municipal bills or your City of Cape Town bills or your City of Joburg bills, how do you do it? And it's quite simple. We ask, I see someone asking a question here. So, and I'll get to the four, and this is maybe kind of like Raphael Smith is asking a question about how big it goes, and I'll get to that, Raphael. So I think one of the things that kind of like is, if you use your bill, and on your electricity bill, it usually gives you an average daily consumption number in there on kilowatt hours, okay? And that kilowatt hours, and I'm going to put it into relation to the New Home stuff, because that's obviously what I know, is that if your daily average is about 10 kilowatt hours, then a New Home 10 is designed for you. If your daily average usage is about 45 kilowatt hours, a New Home 45 would be for you. But that's one way of doing it. I think I would also always kind of like advocate, let's measure, let's be accurate in our decisions. It'll give you insight. But Raphael, to give you a very good idea, So, and it's once again a 4-bedroom home, and you're asking a 4-bedroom roughly used per day. Is people at home during the day? Do you have air cons? I mean, just the impact of air cons versus not having air cons is enormous. So let's assume that you don't have air cons, or have a bit of a hybrid of the two. But I would say somewhere between probably 30 odd kilowatt hours would probably be a reasonable number for a home of 4 bedrooms. It might be a little bit on the lower end. I would play it safe and say I would probably have a somewhere between 30 and 40 kilowatt hours. Would kind of like play it safe. But once again, it's about human behavior. How do we act inside the house? Do we have air cons running? Do we have, what is the activity at home? Is maybe, maybe I'm doing the ironing at home, etc. So there's lots of factors that kind of like dictate how much a energy bill is in any given day. You have people that's very energy conscious. I can tell you that since I've had my solar system installed in my home, things has changed dramatically. We have literally reduced the amount of energy that we use enormously, just because we made aware. It's right there in our face. I can see it. And the nice thing is, plug punt for new home quickly, but that is the ability what we're giving clients. I mean, there's nothing worse than wondering. There is that uncertainty. It's ridiculous. Okay. And I think that's the whole drivers for us, is literally that. So having to understand how much is used is massively important. So Pendila is asking, on average 25 kilowatt hours without a geyser, 1 hour. With a geyser, all in it would be 40 kilowatt hours, no aircon. Well, clearly there's an engineer answering, and I don't know if he's an engineer. I'm just assuming because he sounds very confident in what he's saying. But yes, I think it's important to kind of realize that measuring it is the best way to truly understand. And families differ. Lifestyles differ. We've had clients that use literally 70 kilowatt hours a day, all the way down to 20 kilowatt hours a day. And they all live in a 4-bedroom home. It's important to kind of like just understand that things are different. It's all about behavior in the house. And the best way to go about this is, number one, measure it. So I'm going to start wrapping up. I think one of the things that I want to really kind of drive home with everybody today is that, number one, as we said, when it comes to cost, if it's too cheap, it's too cheap. If it's too good to be true, if you kind of go like, yes, really, I can go off grid. Just run, please. You're wasting your money and your time and energy. Don't buy stuff that is cheap and cheerful. You're only going to cry in the long run. Renewable energy is not a short-term fix. It is a fix that you put in. You rather invest a little bit more, or rather save a little bit and then spend that money, and then go long-term. Go long. Get it right the first time. Don't burn yourself. And I think that's the reason also why we've developed New Home. So not everybody out there can afford these big chunks of cash to hoof out and pay for it. I think it's important. Okay, it is important to know that you have an alternative option other than having to break your own cash flow and take a whole clump of money out and throw it at this. Okay. Secondly, we talk about quality, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Buy quality products. If your friend and neighbors never heard of this stuff, it's probably rubbish. Okay, stick to the tried and tested stuff, please. It matters. Okay. Lastly, lithium versus lead acid. As far as possible, honestly, if the engineer that's designing the system doesn't know what he's doing, you're going to break your lead acid batteries. I've got a client, we did it as a test with them. We destroyed the batteries within 4 months from installing it. It was his choice. He wanted to go on this experiment. We installed the system, and literally, he cycled those batteries every day. And the batteries broke and died in 4 months. Not a little bit broken, flat, stick-in, literally we had to take it out and take it for recycling. Literally within 4 months. So please, if you want to go off-grid, don't hang on to the lead acid battery. Rather start smaller and grow it. As I said, I mentioned a couple of really good products out there. Look out for those names. They are high quality products. Stick with those. And then lastly, understand how much. Understand how much you use. And if you don't understand how much, don't just make a decision. Rather measure it, understand it, and then make a decision based from an informed perspective. Just going out and having some person in your ear whispering, don't worry, I'll take you off the grid. Cheap, when I got you back, eh? Doesn't work. It doesn't bloody well work. So rather spend 3,000 Rand, get a Snappy installed, and it is ballpark around that price. We'll put it on the website somewhere so you guys can see it. But yeah, it's literally rather spend that money and get this great product and understand how much you use. So yes, and Nikki asked, do you install nationwide, middle of nowhere? We love the middle of nowhere. We've got a good couple of clients that does middle of nowhere. We are going through the process of obviously ramping up, but yes, we do middle of nowhere. So yeah, I mean we've got quite good coverage in Cape Town. We've got very good coverage in Gauteng. I think it's one of those things, and we'll talk about it in the next episode. So yeah, there's going to be next episode next week, kind of like the same time, 1400, 30-minute power session, and we're going to talk about Gauteng versus Cape Town versus PE, Durban, Mpumalanga, and everywhere else. So we can all understand what is the impact of location on a renewable energy system. There's a couple of very other exciting discussions coming. We will be inviting a firm from Cape Town that is quite aggressive in what they're doing to push forward the narrative for renewables. So very excited about that. But look out next week, episode 2 of Let's Go Solar, and you can always know and bank on us to give you the no bullshit answers on how to go energy independent. So I think on that note, I'm going to switch off. Hang on a second. There's one last question. We're going to answer one more. So Christian Jacobus, else, we use 5 kilowatts per day. What do you think on what size system? Christian, 5 kilowatt hours system, as we said, the number behind the new home system demarcates the size of the system. So yeah, I reckon that if you are using about 5 kilowatts a day, it'll be very safe. Our smaller system that New Home specifically offers is a New Home 10. That'll be a very good bet for you. So yeah, I think that I mean, I hope that answers your question. And yeah, I think from everybody else, I'm going to cut it short here because I know these things could get dragged out and we can have super long discussions about these things. But catch up with us next week. I'll once again touch on how to go through the process of choosing a solar system and size. And I think maybe I should shuffle things around a little bit from that perspective. And I mean, we've seen the question come up a couple of times. So how do I establish what size system is for me? I'm going to spend 30 minutes on doing just that. So yeah, I don't think I've got a lot more to add to today's session. And I think, yeah, we can call it a day right here. Once again, I just want to say thank you for everybody for joining us. If there is any questions, send us an email, hello@newhome.app, and we'll make sure that we get it answered. Or if there's something or someone that you think we should speak to, let us know, and then we take it from there. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much. And we look forward to next week's session. Have a green energy week. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.